Welcome back to The Observable Unknown. Tonight's mailbag installment arrives with a question that is both intimate and civic, personal and collective. It comes from a listener and former guest reflecting on Interlude 41, The Window of Tolerance, When Meaning Becomes Possible. I want to begin by reading Margie Dillenberg's words aloud, exactly as they were offered. Just writing you a question or sending you a question. Thank you for all you do. I listened to one of your most recent shows called The Window of Tolerance, When Meaning Becomes Possible, and it just made me think about how polarized our society is. And the line that you gave was, "Nuance is a luxury when you feel unsafe." I'm wondering, are there any hacks or advice you could give, and is there strategy for healing our divide that can lead us from that trapped feeling of the binary into a feeling of safety so that we can tolerate more nuance? And I'm wondering how that might be relevant in today's political hotbed. Thank you so much. First, thank you for the question, Margie. It is courageous and it is timely. Let us begin with a premise drawn from neuroscience and developmental psychology. The human nervous system does not begin with reason. It begins with threat detection. Long before we form arguments, our bodies are already scanning for danger. The psychiatrist Daniel Siegel describes the window of tolerance as the zone in which arousal is balanced enough for curiosity, empathy, and reflection to emerge. Outside that window, cognition narrows, language simplifies, and identity hardens. Stephen Porges' work on the autonomic nervous system suggests that when the body drops into defensive states, social engagement decreases. The ventral vagal pathways that allow us to read facial expression, tone, and subtlety become less accessible. The body prepares for survival rather than dialogue. When this happens at scale, polarization is not only ideological, it is physiological. Now consider research from social psychologist Jonathan Haidt. His work on moral foundations theory demonstrates that political differences are often rooted in emotional intuitions rather than rational arguments. People feel first and justify later. If a nervous system feels threatened, the mind will search for narratives that confirm the threat. Nuance fades because nuance requires safety. This leads us to your question. Are there ways to move from binary thinking into nuance? Yes, but they are less like hacks and more like practices that restore nervous system balance. The first principle is regulation before persuasion. Studies by Jamil Zaki at Stanford on empathy and social cognition show that individuals are more open to opposing viewpoints when their physiological arousal is low. Slow breathing, grounded posture, and sensory awareness are not political acts, yet they are prerequisites for political listening. Without regulation, dialogue collapses into defense. The second principle is temporal widening. Neuroscientist David Eagleman has shown that the brain compresses perception under stress. Time feels accelerated, decisions feel more urgent, and complex interpretation disappears completely. When conversations feel heated, slowing the tempo of speech can shift the nervous system toward safety. Longer pauses, a softer tone, and deliberate pacing signal that no immediate threat is present. Third, embodied perspective taking. Psychologist Tanya Singer's research on compassion training suggests that imagining another person's internal state activates neural circuits associated with affiliation rather than competition. This does not require agreement, it requires curiosity. Asking, what fear might this belief protect? Opens space for nuance without surrendering conviction. Fourth, environment matters. Research from Keith Payne on inequality and perceived scarcity indicates that when people feel economically or socially insecure, cognitive rigidity increases. The divide you describe is not only ideological, it is environmental. Communities that foster shared rituals, collaborative tasks, or cooperative problem solving often show decreased polarization because safety is built through experience rather than argument. Let us also speak plainly about the political dimension you mentioned. When discourse becomes a hotbed, the nervous system interprets disagreement as existential threat. Binary thinking emerges as a form of protection. It simplifies reality into allies and enemies because that is faster for survival. The tragedy is that this survival logic erodes the very nuance required for democratic life. So, what can an individual do? Begin locally. Regulation is contagious. Alan Shore's work on right brain to right brain communication suggests that calm presence can influence another nervous system through tone, pacing, and gaze. One regulated person in a conversation can alter the emotional climate of the room. Next, expand linguistic framing. Studies in psycholinguistics by Lera Boroditsky show that language shapes perception, replacing absolute terms like always or never with probabilistic language such as sometimes or often subtly widens cognitive flexibility. Nuance begins with vocabulary. Third, tolerate ambiguity deliberately. Research by psychologist Ari Kruglansky on need for cognitive closure shows that individuals who practice sitting with uncertainty develop greater openness to complex ideas. This can be as simple as pausing before responding and asking what part of this perspective might be true, even if I disagree with the conclusion. And finally, restore the body's sense of safety outside of political discourse. Walks, shared meals, music, and silence can recalibrate the nervous system. Polarization thrives in isolation. Nuance grows in regulated connection. The observable unknown here is not ideological at all. It is instead starkly biological. We do not become nuanced by winning arguments. We become nuanced by widening the nervous system's capacity to remain present in the face of difference. You asked whether healing our divide is possible. History suggests that societies do not heal through consensus alone. They heal through practices that restore relational safety. The anthropologist Irenaeus Abel Ibisfeld observed that ritualized greeting, synchronized movement, and shared attention reduce aggression across cultures. These behaviors remind the nervous system that the other is not purely a threat. Let me offer a gentle reframe. Nuance is not the opposite of conviction. It is the product of sufficient safety to hold complexity without collapse. If you notice yourself slipping into binary thinking, don't judge it. That reflex is ancient. Instead, ask what your body needs in that moment. Slower breath, softer tone, wider context. The brain learns nuance only when it no longer feels cornered. And perhaps the most radical act in a polarized world is this: to remain curious while others demand certainty, to listen without immediate categorization, and to hold disagreement without withdrawing your humanity. That is not passivity, it is regulation in action. I thank you for this truly beautiful question, and I also thank you for trusting this space with it. If anyone finds themselves longing for steadiness rather than another burst of advice, this may be a moment to consider a quieter form of support. Over the years, I have developed a guided program called 395 Days to Putting Yourself Back Together. A daily 10-minute practice designed to help the nervous system relearn balance at a humane pace. It is not a dramatic overhaul or a motivational sprint. Instead, brief, science-informed exercises arrive each day, meeting you where you already are, asking only for small acts of attention that gradually reconnect mind, body, and inner meaning. Many listeners discover that when change is paced gently and anchored in physiology, clarity returns without strain. If the themes of safety, regulation, and integration in this episode speak to you, this offering exists as a companion path for those ready to rebuild alignment one steady day at a time. If this reflection has resonated with you, I invite you to write to me at theobservableunknown@gmail.com or to text your thoughts to 336-675-5836. Your questions shape the direction of these conversations more than you may realize. Also, for those interested, our website, theobservableunknown.com, is up and available for review. Wherever you have listened to this mailbag installment, please consider leaving a rating or review. Your words help this work reach those who are searching for nuance in a world that often rewards simplicity alone. Until next time, this has been The Observable Unknown.